Patsy thinks she disconnects the call, but she doesn't. JonBennet Ramsey. The story of JonBennet Ramsey is a really big case. JonBennet Ramsey was a 6-year-old beauty queen. According to Patsy and John Ramsey, the morning after Christmas Day in 1996, Patsy awoke early and went downstairs to put on some coffee. Going downstairs from the 3rd floor of her home, she saw a note, a ransom letter, essentially, 3 pages laid out on the spiral staircase. The ransom letter was addressed to Mr. Ramsey from a small foreign faction who had taken her daughter. The note said that JonBennet was safe and unharmed, but she would not remain that way unless John Ramsey paid a ransom of $118,000. The letter gave very specific instructions, including that they shouldn't talk to anybody, they shouldn't call the police, and the letter also gave instructions on when they should be expecting to receive a call from the kidnappers that morning to set up the ransom exchange. If they did not follow these instructions to a T, JonBennet would be executed. So at this point, according to Patsy Ramsey, she then runs upstairs to JonBennet's room, only to find her bed and her room empty, and then she goes and wakes John Ramsey up, freaking out, explaining to him what happened, what she found, and at this point, they go downstairs and they call the police, which the letter was really clear about not to call the police. So at 5:52 a.m., Patsy calls 911 and lets them know that her daughter has been taken. Around 6 a.m., the first police officer arrives at the Ramsey residence, and this is Officer French. When the police start arriving, John and Patsy have Burke taken from their home and brought to the home of Fleet and Priscilla White. At first, the police obviously think this is a kidnapping, so the FBI is notified, and they are focusing most of their attention outside of the home instead of inside the home because they think a girl's been taken. But around 1 p.m., Detective Linda Arndt, who is one of the first officers on the scene, she tells John Ramsey that they're going to do a search of the home. It is at this point that John Ramsey finds his daughter's lifeless body in the basement in their wine cellar. He picks her up, brings her upstairs, puts her down on the floor, and that is when everybody realizes this is no longer a kidnapping, this is a homicide case. The next day, her autopsy was completed. Basically, the autopsy stated that she had died from suffocation due to being strangled, but she also suffered before the strangulation a severe blow to the head, which would have basically caused her to become unconscious. According to the medical examiner, there was DNA found in the underwear of JonBennet mixed in with her blood, and the medical examiner decided that she had been abused that night and also stated that it looked like there had been some long-term abuse going on. Within the weeks following their daughter's murder, after kind of feeling that they were under suspicion of the Boulder Police Department, John and Patsy Ramsey lawyered up. They were not questioned about the death of their daughter until almost 5 months later. So the first piece of evidence that everybody finds honestly to be the most suspicious is that ransom note. The paper the ransom note was written on was found to be from a writing pad in Patsy's desk. The pen was found also in the Ramsey home underneath the telephone, and there was 2 practice notes found. So the kidnapper had allegedly come into the house, either killed JonBennet before or after writing this letter, but then sat down to write a 3-page ransom note for a child that was probably already dead, used paper from Patsy's writing desk, used their pen that was already there, and, spent quite a bit of time writing this super dramatic ransom letter. Isn't it odd that a kidnapper would stay at the scene of a crime to write a long ransom letter, and they could have written this previously and brought it with them to the house so that all they had to do was drop it after doing the deed? Isn't that odd? And why would the kidnappers only ask for $118,000? This amount was eerily similar to the amount that John Ramsey had just received as a Christmas bonus from work, and nobody really but the Ramseys and the people at his company Access Graphic would know about that amount. Handwriting expert Sina Wong spent 3 weeks in 2000 examining the note, comparing it to 100 samples of Patsy Ramsey's handwriting. She concluded that it was highly probable that Patsy Ramsey was the author of the note because she found over 200 similarities between the note and Patsy Ramsey's handwriting. It would appear, given the situation, given the information that we have, that the note wasn't a ransom note at all. JonBennet was either already dead or this person was planning on killing her. Next, the 911 call.